This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so today we're going to discuss on the HXM Cloud Ops portal, which is used to create provisioning access. Okay, now before getting the provisioning access, you have to raise or we have to get approval from the customer. So whatever instances that we have, let's say your customer is having 4 or 5 systems: dev, quality, test, and production, or pre-production, or any of the instances. Let's say we have these 4 systems. For all of these 4 instances, you'll also have 4 provisioning accounts. So you need to get approval from the customer that you need 4 provisioning accounts, for one for dev, one for quality, one for test, and one for production. And once you get the approval, this approval needs to be attached in the HXM Cloud Ops portal where you raise a request. Okay, and then you raise a request, and this request is called instance access request form, customer instance access request form, or CAR form. Okay, so this request is called CAR form, customer instance access request form. And then third, you need to assign or attach the approval while raising a request, and then submit a request. Now for each instance or for each system, you need to create one request. For dev, you need to be create one request, and for the quality, you need to create one request. Production, you need to create one request. Okay, now if you go to HXM Cloud Ops portal, the first thing that you see here is customer instance access request form. This one, BizX provisioning access account request, and then customer instance access request. When you click on it, it opens up the details like consultant region, which region are you in. You need to select the region and the location, and the customer name for whom you are implementing, the name of the customer, and the instance ID. Every instance or every system will have a company ID. Okay, now if you open any instance, you will find the company ID here, or even you will also find the company here, or company ID in the URL itself, or you can always go to show version information and see the details. Now here it is not showing up. Let me show you inside. So once you log into instance, you have something called version information here. Okay, the similar one what we have outside. This is the company ID. So this company ID, you need to have it in the request, CAR request. Data center location, which data center is it in? Is it in quality? Is it in preview or production, or which data center is it? 4, 10, 8, 12, 15, whatever data center is it in, you have to select the data center. And the one who has approved your provisioning account, that you need to maintain company approver email address, the estimated go live date, and whether it is a new implementation project or a old implement, or if it is a rollout, you need to select it as no. And you have to select one of the modules in which you are certified in. Okay, give me a sec.
You are on mute, Venu. Hello.
Yeah, sorry, I got a call, so I had to be on mute. Okay, so you need to select one of the modules that you are certified in. Let's say you are certified. Now if you are not certified, you will not be able to log into this page itself. Okay, you only if you are certified, you can log into this hxmcloudops.successfactors.com, and whichever module that you are certified in, you should be selecting that module. Now if I select the Employee Central, now because I am certified in Employee Central, it won't give me any message. Or if I select some module in which I am not certified, let's say in recruitment, I don't have any certification. So if I go and select recruiting, it gives me error saying you appear to be not certified in so and so module THR 83 because I'm not certified in this module. So in this case, let's say I am certified, but system is giving me error. Now somehow maybe I have done my certification recently. So in that case, you can upload your certification URL, or you can update your certificate URL here. Okay, otherwise you'll have to select module in which you are certified in, and then attach the certificate URL. You should be uploading the approval from the customer that you have got from here, from the choose file in the first section, and then submit. Once you submit the request, it takes 24 to 48 hours to get the certificate, to get the provisioning access. Okay, so that's how you get the provisioning access. In interviews, you might be asked, or sometimes people ask you how to, whether you're really certified, or whether you have whether you're really working with any of the implementation partner or not. They will try to ask these type of questions. How do you get provisioning access? Where do you request provisioning access? What all information you feel? How will your customer approval be attached? So these kind of questions will be asked in your interviews, just to check whether you have the knowledge of getting the provisioning accounts or not. Okay, any doubts here on HCM Cloud Ops?
No, sir.
Yes, we know from
No?
So
where
you
to
have
know the.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
One at a
so
time.
how do we know which data center we need to request for? Like there were so many data
Yeah.
centers when we should.
Yes. Now, initially, when your salespeople hand over the project to you, depending on the region of the customer, let's say, now in the data center itself, you'll have the name. Okay, you'll have the name. You go and see here. You see here, data center 19. You see Sao Paulo. Okay, data
Yeah.
center 2 is for your Amsterdam. 22
Okay.
you have Dubai, and then 23 is Riyadh. DC for Chandler, you have this for US. Okay, now this is East US 41,
Okay.
data center 41, and then you have Singapore. Depending on the customer that you are implementing for, you will get to know these data centers.
Okay. So have you ever
Okay.
come across with such a scenario where there's no data center exists for some client, and then we have to request so that they can create data center, something like that?
It doesn't happen like that. Now, in
Okay.
fact, we have a KBA, which says, what data centers that we have, and let me show you that as well. It is 2089448. Let me go here. Two zero eight nine four four eight. That's one KBA, which explains you like what data center that you are in. See here. Find the SuccessFactors data center name, location, production login URL. Okay, so Amsterdam, DC2. Now these are two
Okay.
URLs.
Right.
Okay, and then you need to add your customer ID. So you'll find all of the data centers URLs, both preview and production.
Okay. So anyways, when you in
Okay.
the drop down, all the data centers will be available, right? By
Yes,
default.
and while requesting the provisioning account, you'll have to choose. Now, if I choose some data center, let's say DC for preview, and if I give some company ID, some vague company ID,
Okay.
let's say Pepsico, it gives you error. Okay, if you try to request that, it gives you error. Okay, if that company ID doesn't exist.
Okay.
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 You click on request, it will give you error. That's on your HXM Cloud Ops portal where you create a request for getting the provisioning account. Okay, and you will be able to log into HXM Cloud Ops if you are using the ID which is associated with your partner. Now, I have done my certification and I'm associated with implementation partner. So partner would be giving my SUser ID, right? With that SUser ID, I can log into this portal.
So, right, just now you have created a request for instance access, right?
No, that is a provisioning account, not for the instance account. Instance, you don't have to raise any request.
While creating the request, the pop-up comes like for instance account creation.
Now that's your provisioning account. The it says the request form, it says customer instance access request, but that is for the provisioning, what you're requesting. You know, this is under provisioning account requests. Instances, we don't request anything. First, the instance is configured. You'll get all the details from your project manager or your IT team. What is the instance ID and what is the instance URL? Even if you don't get the URL, if you get the instance ID, every company or every system you'll have the company ID. So that company ID will be given by your basis team or your IT team, your customer's IT team. From there, you'll be requesting the provisioning account. Okay.
So this is the path for creating provisioning account, right?
Yes. Anything else? Any more doubts? No doubts? Okay then. So let's go and look at how now once we get the provisioning account, how do we start the implementation? Now, if you remember the other class when we have discussed about the configuration or implementation guide, okay? So if you look at the implementation guide, so I have downloaded the implementation guide, okay? So after every release, SuccessFactors would be updating the implementation guide, and this is the latest implementation guide what we have. Okay, once you download this implementation guide, for every consultant who is new to the implementations, let's say all of us are new to the implementations, we don't know how to implement or how to start the configuration for your customer. Okay, you can simply go to implementation guide and look at what steps we have to follow or what steps we have to do to start the implementation. Okay, because I am into SuccessFactors from last 8-9 years, so I know I've done a couple of implementations, so I know what is to be configured, how to start off, or what is to be started. Okay, so I'll be doing the similar steps what SuccessFactors recommends. Okay, but I may not be following all of the steps which SuccessFactors recommends. Now there are like 18 or 19 steps what SuccessFactors recommends, but I because I have been implementing, so I know what steps can be skipped or what steps can be configured first. Okay, but most of the times it is the same sequence what everybody would be following for implementation. Okay, now SuccessFactors recommends us to follow the implementation sequence what they recommend. Says this is a recommended implementation sequence for partners and consultant. We strongly recommend that you follow this sequence for the first few implementations and discuss variations with your team lead. To help you with your implementation, we recommend following sequence of steps. These are the following steps are to be included. Now, they say that as a customer, you don't have access to provisioning. Customers will not have access to provisioning. Only the consultants or the implementation partners will have the provisioning access. Okay, to complete the task in the provisioning, contact your implementation partner or the account executive of SAP. Okay, now let's see what are those steps. The first step is setting up a new account in provisioning. Now we know how to get the provisioning accounts. Now you got SAP, you got provisioning access from SAP. Okay, now you have the access. Now let's go and see those initial configuration tasks, what we have to do. First thing is do initial configuration task in the following sequence. Let's go to setting up the basics. Log on to provisioning with your username and password and select the company from the list shown or through the initial letter of the company. When you log into the customer's instance, generally, if you have 4 or 5 instances, let's say 4 or 5 provisioning accounts, pre-prod as well. Okay, out of these 5 systems, 3 of them are in preview and 2 of them in 3 in preview and 2 in prod. Okay, so you will have 2 URLs, one for preview URL and one for prod URL. So you'll have 2 URLs, preview URL and prod URL. When you log into preview URL, you will see 3 company IDs listed down there, whichever are from preview. And when you log into production URL, you will see 2 company IDs listed down there. So that's what it says. Log into provisioning with your username and password and select the company. So you go select the company. Now here, because I have logged into one of the demo system, it shows only one company ID. But if your customer has got 3 or 4, it will show up line item 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 rows. It will show up 4 rows. Okay. Now go to your company. See, click on your company. Okay, this is my company. Let's say this is my company. Under edit company settings, click on company settings. Now this is the navigation what you have to follow. Go to edit company settings. Under edit company settings, you have company settings. Under company settings, you will be doing almost all of the settings that you need to do for your customer. 90% of your configuration, you will be doing it from company settings. Okay, you scroll down and enable the company languages by selecting the checkboxes of the relevant language packs. Make sure you select a minimum of 1 language pack. Now when you log in, you scroll down to language packs. Now this is the language pack. You need to enable the language pack and minimum of 1 language is to be selected. Now out of all these languages what you see, that means these are the languages that SuccessFactors supports. Okay, so you need to select all the languages that your customer needs. Now what do you mean by selecting a language? Why should we select the language? Now if your customer is operating from different countries, let's say I'm working for a global customer who has got their operations in 4 or 5 countries. Okay, one in US, they operate from China, they operate from Spain, they operate from France, or they operate from Dubai, and they operate from India. So each of these countries has got their own language, local language or national language. For US it is English, or for India, Hindi is our national language, and we also speak here English. So for countries like China or Japan or for Spain or France, the English is not the local language. They have their own language, Chinese or Japanese or Spanish or French. If the end users would like to have the instance in their own language, so you need to enable these languages from provisioning. Now, once you enable these languages, when you log into the instance, now let me log into instance. Let me do one thing. When you log into instance, you go to settings and see here change language. Now you will see all the languages that are enabled from provisioning. Whatever languages that are enabled here in provisioning, you will get to see all the languages here. Okay, now when you log into instance, let me go back here. This is the landing page. As soon as you click on the ID and password, this is your landing page, and this is called your home page. This is the logo what you see onto the left hand side. This logo can be either onto the left hand side or right hand side, no, or in the middle of the header. Now this part is called the header. And the home, what you see here, this is the module picker, or we call it home dropdown or module picker. That meaning you can pick the module that you want to go to. So these are all the modules that are enabled in this instance. Okay, so these are all the modules. On here we see a box which is used to search for any action or search for any employee. If you want to search for any employee, let's say I want to search for employee with name John, just type the name of the employee. System will show up all the employees that are with the name John. And if you want to access or choose the employee that you want to go to, system will show the quick card details here. When you mouse over, system will show the quick card details, like what is the name of the employee, phone number if it is maintained, email ID, the department and the location, and then manager for whom he or she is reporting to. So it shows up all the details on the right hand side. So this is called quick cut. So you can search for any employee with the name. Now I want to search for Jennifer. So you can just type 3 letters, system will show the probable searches here. Along with the names, you can also search for any actions that you want to do. The configurable actions, you can search here. If you know what is that action, you can just search for that. Now let's say I want to search for manage organization pay and job structure, which is one of the action. You just type in 3 letters from a word and system will give you the probable search here. So this is one of the actions. So it shows up all the actions. And onto the right hand side, extreme right, you will see the person who has logged in. I have logged in as this person who is Anya Singh. Okay, I've logged in as Anya Singh. Here you see the quick actions and all of the tiles what you see here, these are the quick actions. Now if I want to look at my team, I can go look at my team. If I want to activate my mobile, you can go and activate. If I want to record my time, I will go click on the record time. So all of these things what you see, these are showing up in English. Okay, because I have selected my language as English. Now if a person or if a user who has logged in has selected a different language, so they see all of these things in their own language. Okay, now you see here, good evening. This is this will change depending on the time that you have logged in. Now let me go to settings. When you click on the name, you'll find a drop down. Just click on settings and then go and choose the language. Let's say I want to select one language, maybe anything, let's say Spanish. I choose language Spanish and say switch. Now the entire instance will be changed to Spanish. Okay, this is user specific. Now some users can select English, some users can select Spanish, some users can select Portuguese, some users can select select Arabic. You can choose any language, the available language from the change language option. Now, why a user is able to select language? Because from the provisioning account, we have enabled all of these languages. So user will have option to choose any language that they are comfortable in. So the entire instance will now show up in Spanish now. You see here, earlier it was showing as home. Now this is logo, this is a picture, it won't show in Spanish. Now this, all of these things what you see, these are changed to Spanish. Even here, this is changed to Spanish. Search for actions or people. And then even here, you see, this is also changed. Earlier it was showing as settings. It was showing as proxy now. It is system administration. It was showing as show version information, and this is logout. So all of these are changed to Spanish because from my settings, I have changed. Now I have logged in as Anya Singh, and Anya Singh has changed her language to Spanish. So she is able to see everything in her language, which is Spanish. Clear? I'll go back, change the language from Spanish to English. Okay, or if you know Korean, just switch to Korean. You see, everything is changed to Korean language now. Now somebody who knows Korean can see what exactly is this. Okay, let me go to settings. My daughter knows a little bit of Korean, so maybe she can understand. Let me go back and search for the language. It says switch. Now the entire instance again, it switched to English. Okay, now all of these languages can be enabled from your provisioning. Now earlier in the initial days, we used to have the enabling of languages option only from provisioning, but now they have given option to enable these languages from instance as well. Okay, anybody with configuration access can go and enable languages even from the instance, not only from the provisioning. Okay, so you can go to manage languages. Just search for manage languages. You go to manage languages, and then you see here, these are the languages that are enabled. Now you can also choose the languages or enable the languages from here. See here, I have Hindi. I go enable Hindi. Now this option of enabling the languages, okay, it will be available if you enable some service in provisioning. Now why I am able to search languages, manage languages here in instances, because we have enabled. Now you go and search for manage language. Now here we have option enable manage languages tool. Now from provisioning, this option is enabled. That's why I'm able to select the language. Now if I go back to settings, change language, I see one additional language called Hindi. Now you switch to Hindi. I hope most of you understand Hindi, can read out, or no, all of you can read out Hindi. Okay, Mokya Pust or Namaskar, Tvarit, Karwai. So you have all of these actions or all the text changed to Hindi. You see, even this got changed. I'll go back. भाषा परिवर्तित करें और English US. Switch. Any doubts here on languages? Enabling the languages.
So Venu, why do we have manage language translation also, right? Like there's a special consultant who get the language translated into some other language. So if we have this provision in the system, then why the client go for that? What is the use of that?
What is the use of manage languages?
Yeah, manage language translations.
Yeah.
Like
manage
language one second. Manage language translation.
Now you also have managed language translations. Now all of these what you see are the standard content available in SuccessFactors. Now, whatever content that we have as a standard SuccessFactor delivered product, you will find all of this in multiple languages. In whatever languages that SuccessFactors supports, you will find all of this. Now there must be somewhere you have SuccessFactors have maintained all of this in different languages. Tomorrow if I go and change the content, now I can change some of the text to a different you can rename the text to a different label. Okay, let's say I don't want to call it as quick actions, I want to call it as something else. So I can go change this text. Or tomorrow if I add one more custom card here or one more custom application here, so I should be enabling the custom labels in all the other languages. Now if your customer is using 4 different languages, okay, and you have configured some custom field. Let's take a simple example. Now I have my employee file where you have all of the information. Now even the employee profile, all of these labels what you see, the first name, last name, middle name, all of these will also be changed when you change the language. Okay, now these labels, these are standard labels. Now everybody when you change their language, they will see them in their own language. Now what if we have configured some custom field here? Okay, now the custom fields are configured in manage business configuration. There's one of the action called manage business configuration. So for each of the label what you enable or each of the field that you enable, you need to specify in all of those languages what you have enabled. Like I have the job level. Okay, this job level I have to, if I'm changing this job level label, I have to do it in all the languages. Now this is a standard field. So you see here the job level is maintained in all of these languages. Now, if somebody with a French logs in, they will see the job level as this one. Somebody with Korean language logs in, they will see job level as this one. So that means for every standard field, you have the languages maintained. Now, what if you have enabled some custom fields? Now I have enabled a custom field with the label as current salary, which is the default value. Now, if I go to the translation, I also have this one, current salary maintained here. Now let me go here and see change value. This is also there. Now let's say I select custom string 1. Now I will have it as test. You go here, label, there are no labels. You need to maintain the label in all the languages that you are using. Otherwise, everybody will see the label as test. Even if I select my language as Hindi, when I log in, I will see this custom field as test only, not in Hindi, because system doesn't know what is it called in Hindi. If I have maintained the label, then system picks up the label from here. So for every field, you have the languages maintained in different languages. So you also have options for the translation. So for each of these field labels, you can maintain in multiple languages. For all the fields of employee profile, you maintain the translations here. Similarly, for all the fields of foundation objects, you maintain that in the corporate data model. So different places we use to maintain different translations. Okay.
So here the language by default it will take, or we need to customize it.
Sorry.
So in the translation, like by default, translation will.
If it is a standard field, then you will find the translations. No, maybe some, let's say if we have a location, okay, maybe I want to call the SuccessFactors is giving the location in Hindi as Stan, but I want to rename it to something else, city. Okay, so I want to rename the location to city, and in Hindi I want to rename it to Shahar. So you go change the label. That's a standard field label what SuccessFactors has given. But if it is a custom field, you will not find any label. You have to go and maintain that label.
So Venu, is it a job of like the consultant or
Consultant. Yes.
okay, but
Yes.
this has to come from the customer side, right? Customer will need
This has to
to
come.
provide the translation,
Customer has
right?
to, yes, customer has to give all of these translations.
So do we have a standard workbook for these also? Or
Now, standard workbook means, so whenever, the configuration workbooks, what we have seen, like master data, okay, whatever fields that your
yeah.
customer sees. Now, if they want to have, now somewhere here, if they change the label, workbook,
Yeah, so like my question is, Venu, like whatever the customization we have done in the system, so we need to export those custom fields so that customer can provide the translation for those fields, or how it should be done.
you have biographical information. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
if this is person ID, this is a standard SuccessFactors label. Now, it is there in for all the languages. But if your customer wants to change this person ID to employee ID, and they have, let's say they have 4 different languages. Then they have to give this employee ID in all the languages that they want to have. They'll be giving in this workbook itself. We don't have any specific for translations.
So in these workbooks, we need to add the custom fields also, right?
Yes. Like how we have here custom fields. Now these, you
Okay,
insert a row and add a label. Same thing.
okay, we do. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clear on languages?
Venu, can you share that implementation guide PDF?
It's there in the drive, Debashis.
I was checking.
I hope all of you have got the access to drive. Okay, so from the drive you can download the implementation guide, the latest implementation guide. You have configuration workbooks, you have kickoff template, you have implementation guide. So all of these things, whatever we have discussed so far, all of these notes are available in the drive.
Venu.
Yes, go ahead.
The first one, that you have created a test field over there, right? And to translate it into other language.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here, you have maintained the test here, right? In translations, like if you want to write it in Hindi, how to do that?
You just go, just copy it. You cannot write it from your. You can maintain the. Let's say Google. Go to translation.
Like pariksha, like test is like pariksha. So we have to copy and paste it over there.
Yes.
Okay. And number 2 is like whatever the settings of languages we do in the provisioning will be proportional to the languages in the instance. Now other language can be enabled, right? It will be enable mode.
Yes. Whatever languages that you have enabled either from provisioning, okay, generally these languages will be enabling in provisioning. Okay, that's the first step. Okay, now later on, maybe you have enabled only 4 languages. After implementing or after doing some work, your customer said, I want to have the 5th language as well. We may be planning to have our operations in one of the country, and we'd like to have the language enabled. So you don't have to go back to provisioning to enable that. You can directly enable that in the instance if you have enabled this option of enabled manage languages.
Okay.
If you have enabled this feature, then the manage languages will start show up in the instance. If you have not enabled this in the provisioning, then again, every time you want to enable some language, enable or disable some language, you have to come to provisioning.
Okay, so then it will be dependent on provisioning if we don't tick this
Yes.
checkbox. Okay.
Yes. Now, some features we have this option, like whatever that we have in provisioning. Now, SuccessFactors is trying to cut down the dependencies on the provisioning. So they are trying to switch all of these things, moved out from provisioning to instance. There are a lot of things which are moved to instance. Okay.
And also, when you are we going to get the checklist from the customer, like which are the language which we need to activate, because it's also a part. Okay.
Yes. Now your customer will inform you like what all. You'll come to know what are your customers operational countries. So based on that, if you can ask your customer how many languages you want to you have to enable. This you can get the information when you give the kickoff.
Okay.
Hi, Venu.
Yeah, hi.
Regarding the employee search, you are searching some employees, right? So can we have a restriction on the employee search? I mean, say example, an employee of sales.
Yes, it all depends upon the permissions that are granted for an employee. Now, because I am a consultant or an admin, I can search for any employee, every employee. Okay. Now, when it comes to the employee, we can restrict the search also. Like, if I am an employee, if I can go and search, I can go and search, look at my data. So entire data, like personal information, I can look at my personal information. I can edit my personal information. I can edit my phone information or email information or address information, but I'll not be able to edit my salary details. Though it is my data, I'll not be able to edit because it is the HR who will be modifying your compensation details. You're not given access to change your salary. Otherwise, I'll go change my salary from 10,000 to 20 or 20 to 30 or 30 to 1 lakh. And at the same time, if I go look at the other employees' information, maybe if I have given access, I can just go view others' information. I cannot go edit the personal information of others. I can only look at the information. And I'll not be able to look at others' compensation details because my access is restricted there. Similarly, if my access is restricted to only my peers, only who work with me, or only all those employees who are working under the same manager, then I can search only those employees who are part of my team. I'll not be able to look at others' details.
Got it. Thank you.
You
So
can
it's basically we have to play
it
with
can
the
be based on
organization.
location, it can be your, yes. It's all about the authorizations or permissions that you have granted to that employee.
Okay. Yeah.
Now,
Thank you.
sometimes what happens is if you have different HRs in different regions. Now we operate from 4 locations: Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, and Mumbai. So you have HRs who would be accessing employee data, who would be promoting or terminating their employees. Now I have HRs in all of these regions separately. Now if I don't want HR of Hyderabad to edit Bangalore employees details, so I can restrict there. They will not be able to see. Now again, if they can see or edit, that can also be controlled. Okay. Now,
understood. Yeah.
Similarly, I'm an admin, so when I log in, I can look at all of this configuration, but employees will not see all of this configuration. Now, when I log in, I see all of these things, all of these quick actions. Maybe if some employee logs in, they may not see all of them. They see only those things which they have access to. Okay. Now, simply, if I go search for an employee. Now I have here Dornback. I'll go proxy now. Instead of the admin, I will just log in as one of the employee called Donback. Now, if you see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 14 plus 1, 15. I have total of 15 actions as an admin. But when this employee logs in, now you see this is a different employee, Stephen Donback. Now this person can see only 12 actions here, quick actions. And you click on home, he is able to see only some of the modules, not all the modules what Anya Singh can see. That's because of the permissions that are granted for this employee. Okay.
Okay, so this is the interesting feature, I mean, where we can visualize authorizations as well.
Yes.
Mhm. Thank you.
Venu,
Now
if you can
I'm
quickly
back.
show us from where to restrict this action search for employee.
Which one? This one?
Yeah, action search. Yeah, from where to restrict.
You
From where you view the
don't want to show
authorization.
the no, you don't want to show the entire search box here.
So just few things.
No, that
Or
will be covering. It's part of. It's too
okay,
early, for you to know. I'll be
okay,
covering. That's part of our course content. RBP complete role-based permissions. We'll see.
okay, Venu.
Okay. Any other doubts in managed languages? No others. Please don't silent. No, please ask questions. Asmita, Ashwani. This is the first session of practical part. No, I can see some new candidates joining the session. We have only covered the theoretical part. This is the first session of the practical part. So if everybody knows the same thing. We haven't discussed anything on the instance. Now I'm just showing you for the first time. Okay, we'll talk about more on the instance, how to navigate, what is to where to navigate and all.
So for access and all, like here in SuccessFactors basis team will not work.
No, access will not be given by basis team. Access you will have to give. Now, access for granting access to employees, again, it depends upon the roles that they are in. Okay, every time you hire an employee, if that employee is a manager, he or she will be getting that manager role automatically. You don't have to do anything. Initially, whatever roles or whatever permissions that you have granted in the system understands based on the department or location or the direct reports that are assigned to that employee. System will add these permissions to into the new hires as well. Okay, so by default, if I am hiring one employee who has got direct reports, okay, so he or she is a manager, so they will get all of those accesses like approving employees request and so on. So we don't have to go and add every time you hire a new employee. No, this is automatic. It happens automatically depending on the configuration that you have done. When you hire employee, you maintain the email ID, system sends the welcome message, and where system gives you the URL to log into the instance. Okay. Now, along with the languages, whatever features that they have mentioned here, okay, attachment manager, profile data audit, central foundation object. So all of these things are to be enabled from provisioning. And by default, when you log into provisioning for the first time, you will see all of these being enabled in the system. Now, all the standard features, all the standard functionalities are enabled by default. You may have to enable or disable the functionalities or the services which you don't want for your customer. Like the optional configurations, like it can be a global assignment, it can be a deduction management, or it can be dependent management, it can be position management. All of these things are optional features which you can enable or disable. Now, by default, whatever that are mentioned here, okay, so all of these are enabled here, enabled by default. Now, if you scroll down from languages, you see here, this is compensation management related services. Similarly, you will find the Employee Central related services. Scroll down. Here, you have Employee Central. Now, there are some settings which are outside Employee Central, like Attachment Manager, which is being used across the system. Profile data audit. Okay, now this is outside your Employee Central. This is common, so it is outside. And anything specific to Employee Central, you will find all of them here. Effective dated platform, or Employee Central V2, or event reasons, or business rules. Okay, you have time off, position management, dependent management, global assignment, timesheets. Okay, advances, benefits. So all of these things are to be enabled or disabled based on your customer's requirement. Depending on the module, depending on the features that your customer is requesting, you need to enable or disable these from provisioning account. Okay. Next thing. Okay. Next is step 2, creating the super admin. You will have to create a super admin from provisioning. Okay, let's go to initial configuration task, scroll down and see here, creating a super admin. Create a super admin user in provisioning application for a specific customer instance so that you can access the system and grant necessary permissions to other users. Now we know that provisioning access is granted by SAP. You will be requesting from HCM Cloud Ops or HXM Cloud Ops. Okay, and SAP would be providing you the provisioning access. But who will be logging into the instance? Now, you as a consultant has to log into the instance, but where are your credentials? Those credentials are given by the consultant who logs into the provisioning for the first time. Now, let's say we are 4 people or 5 people working on one of the implementation, or 10 people working on implementation. And I am one of them, and I have got provisioning access. I've logged into provisioning, and I will create one user called super admin in provisioning. And this super admin will be logging into the instance for the first time. Okay, and that user, super admin user, will create more users. So if you have 10 people working on the project, create those 10 users from the instance and share those credentials with them. Even I have logged in as super admin. I will also create my user. I will not be using super admin to configure. I will always use my own ID and password. Okay, so the first user who would be logging into the instance is called the super admin, and that super admin is SF admin, and this will be created from provisioning. So if you scroll down to the end, somewhere you have almost at the end, you have this option. Here you go. Here, admin username, admin password, first name, last name, admin email. I confirm that affected customer has provided approval, and then customer email address, so that customer will get the notification. Once you fill this information, you will see that create admin will be enabled. Let's say I want to create one user called user 1. You'll be creating only one super admin. So I'll not create here. I'll just show you how to create. Let's say I want to have the password as SAP@123. And what is the name of the user that you want to use? I want to name it as user 1. Some mail ID. I confirm and put your email ID. Now, as soon as you enter email ID, you see here create admin is enabled. You click on create admin. It will ask you in which company you want to create the super admin. You need to enter the company ID and save. So super admin user will be created, and using this ID and password, you can log into the instance. Okay, usually the username what we give for all the instances or all the systems are SF admin and the password. For the first time to log into the instance, I will use this SF admin username and password, this one. Log into the instance, and this user will have all the permissions in the system. You see here. Super admin from provision application for specific customer instance, so that you can access the system and grant necessary permissions to other users. Super admin will have all the access, and super admin will create more users and share it with the other users. Clear on super admin? Yes or no?
So this is basically for the consultants, right? So that the consultant can get an access to the role-based permission access page, right? Where he can
Yes.
add more admins or super users.
Yes. Now it could be any user. Now, when I log in as SF admin or super admin, I will have option to create more users, grant necessary permissions. If I have 4 consultants working in different modules, I can restrict access to each consultant to the respective module. Maybe for one of the consultant who works on performance management, I want to grant all the permissions related to performance management. I have a consultant who will be working on compensation, so add those permissions for comp management. Generally, we don't restrict, we don't use multiple permissions for each consultant. We grant all the permissions for all the consultants. Any consultant can go and configure anything. So we'll have it as a flexible. But for the other users, we have to go enable only those permissions that are requested by your customer.
So generally, who are these person? Is it like admin, admin from customer side, so that later on he can like change the permissions?
No,
Or do some.
nobody else would be logging in with SF admin. No one will log in with SF admin again or super admin again. It is only for the first time when you create from the provisioning.
Okay.
When you have to log into instance, you will use SF admin credentials or super admin credentials. Otherwise, from later on, now once you create more users, you will be logging into the instance using that ID, not with SF admin.
Okay.
Because every time that you configure something in the system will record the timestamp, like who has modified, when was the modification done. I said today you go and create a company, system will track your username that you have logged in and the time that you have changed or created. So after 4 days or after 1 week or after 1 month, if I go and see who has created the company, it will show you your name only. Now, if you log in with SF admin, if everybody logs in with the SF admin, system will show it as SF admin only there. So generally, it is not recommended to use SF admin's ID for your configuration.
Okay.
Okay.
So it has to be user specific. Like, I'm not getting the point here. Like,
what point are you not getting?
If a consultant has created the super admin, So if we have to do any configuration, so we cannot use this. So we have to create another user ID in role-based permission. Is it?
Now, let me give an example. If I go,
that part I understood, that everybody cannot use the same ID, because otherwise if 10 people are using the same ID, so we'll not be able to make it out who has really made the changes. So
yes,
IDs
if you see here,
yeah,
human resource department, this department was created by SF admin on so and so date. So similarly, when you log in, your system will track your name and the date.
yeah.
Okay, so SF admin is only used to create the other users and grant permissions to those users for the first time.
Okay.
And the next time onwards, anything that you have to configure as a consultant, you will use your ID and password.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So when that is basically first time, or for the only first time we have to use the SF admin.
Yes. For every instance or for every account, you have to create one SF admin. So you will find one super admin here. You'll find one super admin here.
Yes.
So every system or every instance, you'll find one super admin. Now you name it SF admin or something else. Now, that's a practice what we follow. The user what is created from provisioning, we call it SF admin, so that everybody knows that this user is created from provisioning.
Okay.
Okay. Apart from logging into the instance for the first time, you can also share this SF admin or the super admin ID when you create a ticket with SAP. Let's say you have some issues in the configuration or in the system. Okay, so you will be creating a ticket with SAP in the launchpad. Okay, there you will be giving the just ID. You will not give password also. You just give ID. SAP support engineer will be logging into your system using that ID, and they'll be checking what was the issue. So you don't have to give any password, because if you have created one user or super admin from provisioning, so if you log into provisioning, you can log into instance without any password. Okay. So that's the purpose of creating super admin from provisioning account. Is that clear? Others?
Yes, yes.
But for SAP, don't we create support admin or something like that? I don't remember, but something we
No,
create, right, for SAP, so
no,
that they can replicate the issue.
no.
Is it the same thing?
We'll be giving the super admin ID.
Okay.
Will enable support access for the super admin and grant the ID is shared with the SAP.
Okay.
Okay, so your SAP will be logging into provisioning. From there, they will go to instance using SF admin. You just have to give. Now, sometimes if you have created a super admin with a different name, so that name is to be given to SAP engineer. You cannot share your ID and password. Your credentials are not shared with others. Okay. So configuring or enabling the services in provisioning is very simple. It is just enabling or disabling the services. You will not be doing any configuration in provisioning. The actual configuration is done in the instance, so which we'll be looking at in tomorrow or day after tomorrow session. Okay. We'll stop it here. We'll continue tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Venu.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye. Bye.
Thank you, Venu. Bye-bye.